Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I like the audio device here, so quiet and so good. On the upstairs, it's so noisy and everything. So here we can talk quiet, and you can have good sound effect. That's very good. So we are here actually for an everlasting topic. It's called the brain health. Brain health is very important right now because there was a statistic that says Canada as one of the top countries that suffer from old age problems like dementia, Alzheimer. You know why?
That's why we're here.
Okay. Okay.
So go ahead.
Right.
Continue.
Yes, because what happens is actually in this country we are so lucky in the sense that we all live longer. Our average lifespan is over 82 something, 82, 83, and that's top of the world. And if anybody lives beyond 100, the chance to get dementia and Alzheimer is almost 80–90%. Okay, so the longer we live, the more chance that we are going to be exposed or vulnerable to this old age disease. So, but it's more important that we learn because we are going to live longer. We hope to live longer. So that's why we need to really learn how to deal with these conditions and how to avoid them. And then we have better quality of life.
Are you going to touch on mental health as well, like illnesses?
Yeah, we'll touch on those. We'll try to see how much we can cover because we have limited time, but we'll get started, okay? So now, the facts about the brain, there are some basic statistics. So our brain is only about 2% in our body weight. It's such a little unit here, but it actually uses about 20% of the oxygen and 20% of the metabolic power in our body. So it's a very power intensity unit. We need to really give it energy, otherwise it's going to get shortchanged every time. So we are going to lose the support, and then we are going to get some problem in the body. The older we get, the more problem we get because we are getting less blood flow, less oxygen, less nutrients, and the brain cell starts to die. They said, where's my food? Where's my energy and power and everything? So if they are neglected, then we get into trouble. The second one is the brain is protected by something called a blood-brain barrier. This is a very sophisticated idea, but that's something that's preventing our brain from healing, because the brain is a very vulnerable tissue. If somebody gets into a car accident, they smash the brain, it's going to fly everywhere. It's like just tofu fluid kind of tissue. It's not like muscle, they are strong. These ones are easily damaged. So if somebody has, I was just talking to somebody who had meningitis, the parents or somebody had a meningitis. They said on the 5th day, all of a sudden, this person is paralyzed and then everything. They can't do anything anymore. They feel dizzy, they go wobbly, they can't walk and everything. It's because the membrane of the meninges in the brain that cover the brain, as we call meninges. And then if they are inflamed, we call them meningitis. When they are inflamed, the brain is a very strict compartment-like sections that are proportionally arranged in a way that if anything happens, if there's a tumor or growth or bleeding or anything happening there, then we are going to get squeezed, twisted, and we lose our function that way. So if somebody, like a lady, if they have let's say a fibroid in the uterus, you can actually potentially grow very big. And then you can wait until you do a surgery, get rid of it or something. But if something grows in the brain or bleeding happens in the brain, almost immediately you get trouble. Your nerves are twisted and then you can't move this, you can't do that, your face is... so that's why the brain is very, very delicate, and it's almost like we call the White House. or the Parliament Hill of Canada, they are well guarded. They are weak by themselves. They don't protect themselves unless we have security guards and army protection. So if anybody climbs the fence, we have to arrest them. Otherwise, they'll attack, right? So that's why the brain has something called blood-brain barrier to prevent or to filter whatever bacteria, virus, germs, everything toxins from entering the brain. If they attack us, then we are in trouble, right? So we have to have something like that mechanism to keep us away from trouble. But the same thing is also holding back on a lot of nutrients, a lot of vitamins, minerals, and medication that's trying to help us. So that's why a lot of the brain disease is called incurable. There are hundreds of brain-related disease. A big percentage, I would say 70–80% of them are incurable. You heard about this disease is not curable, that one is not curable, there's no medication for that. So that's the problem. The problem is something is holding back. It's filtering everything, blocking everything out. So this is why it's supposed to be like what we call a castle. It's well protected. So if you use a bullet to try to shoot it, it's going to bounce off. If you use big machinery, machine gun, it gets bounced off too. But if you use atomic bomb, right? We do surgeries, we do different things to try to save the brain. We use a bigger artillery, then we bomb it off. It's just destroyed. That's why a lot of open brain surgeries, they are risky too. So that's why, because of this double-edged sword, we have to find a different way to save our brain from deteriorating and to heal from all these different conditions. The third one is our brain is responsible for almost 80% of our body conditions disease, because the brain is the central command center. It's giving orders to everything in our body, giving directions and orders for our body to function. So if the brain is in trouble, then it starts to cause problems in our body. So a lot of the, even diabetes, for example, is still connected to the brain. When your brain doesn't have the signal to go to the pancreas, to do the things, to regulate the sugar, to give signal to the liver, to storage and regulate the sugar, then we have trouble with that too. So it's a signal system that causes a lot of problem in our body. And 80% of the brain tissue is just fluid, water. So we have to drink a lot of water to keep it hydrated. A 1% drop of our body fluid, it actually causes the brain to function a little less. So we need to drink enough water on a daily basis to keep our brain going. Now that's what we're calling the blood-brain barrier. It is a very sophisticated system or idea. We don't have to go into details, you just know that it is there and it is holding us from healing. Now, what kind of brain disorders can we, there's quite a few here. So if you're particularly interested in any particular kind, anyone can take an example?
Schizophrenia?
Schizophrenia, okay, that's mental issues. Yes.
Insomnia.
Yes. Insomnia, yeah. They are all very tough. They are all very tough because you can't just take a sleeping pill to get rid of the problem because it's going to be there. You just try to double and triple the dosage until you can sleep. But the problem is not being easily solved with something like that, even a painkiller, right? If you have pain, headache, you can't just kill the pain because the pain is there as a signal. It's actually telling you that you are in trouble. You have something wrong there. If you just kill the pain, that is almost like saying, lock you out. You don't talk. Shut up. Don't tell me you have a problem there. I'll shut you up, then you don't talk, and then the next day you might have a bigger problem because the problem is still there, it's accumulating, and it's actually going to explode one day. And that's where you're in even bigger trouble, such as a stroke. Right? So if you have pain, you take care of it. If you allow it to develop into a stroke, it's much more difficult to heal because when the bleeding happens in the brain, actually it floods the compartment, and then they get hardened and they depress on the nerves, and then you cause trouble. So all of these things, they are very difficult to deal with. So we have all these other things, and then this is something called there is an organization called National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke. They actually listed all the brain disease in one website. So if you calculate A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way to Z, see how many diseases there is in there.
Are they into functional neurology, or is it what kind? It's like the functional medicine specialist versus.
Well, this is just a list of the facts, and they just so it's a lot of them. If you click the open, it says there is no cure. There's no cure. They don't have too much in there for you to. So when we have some kind of symptom, somebody say, oh, I have ring in the ear. I have a ring in the ear. Then you can take some kind of a drop or something. But the problem, you know, is where? It's actually in the kidney. When you have a noise ring in the ear, it's connected to the kidney. When your kidney gets weaker, you get noise and ring in the ear. And there are two types. One is the high pitch. The high pitch is what we call the liver heat or liver uprising. Something wrong with the liver, then you get a high pitch ring. If you're low like humming noise, it's actually the kidney. The kidney getting weaker, it's not able to pump the blood up to the brain or to the area where you have better control. So all of these symptoms, they are all connected to our major organs. It's the organs that's giving you trouble. So basically the ear is the kidney, we call the opening or the window of the kidney, and the eyes are the window of the liver. So if you go out and you go out to the glare of the snow and you come to open your eyes, you ask your liver, what are they doing wrong over there? Same thing with your nose. If you have something like always have to wipe your nose and all that, it's always to do with your lungs. And if you have something in your mouth or something, it goes to your spleen. And the tip of the tongue is connected to your heart. So all of these 5 elements, they all have some openings. You can see some signs if you know how to. Then you know where the problem is coming from. So, and this is the Chinese history and Chinese medicine is basically based on this we call the 5 elements. So you see there is a lot of interrelations. They are supposed to, God designed the system to be promoting each other, support each other, strengthen each other, and then our system would be in good harmony. Everything would be fine. It's like an 18-year-old boy or girl, they are perfect. Everything's good. That's why they can afford to abuse their body in some ways. They can sleep late and they can play games. They are still okay. But when we get older, the system starts to have cracks, starts to have problems, and then that's how they start to become violating, destroying, and they can be overreacting, so they can have a lot of problems when we have some kind of a problem here. So when we have this system here, we'll take just one example, like the kidney. Kidney regulates water in our body. So if you have any water-related issue, most of it has something to do with the kidney. For example, if somebody tell me, oh, I have to pee every 5 minutes or 10 minutes, that is actually a kidney problem. Kidney, bladder, adrenals, and prostate, they are all the same system, the kidney system. So if you have something going on in the kidney, then we will have weakness over there, and that's when, actually, you know, when you go to see the hospital or the doctor or whatever, you go there and they tell you, your kidney is okay. But you say, why do I have a ring in the ear? Why do I have this lower back pain and knee pain? And I get up in the night to go to the washroom a lot, and why do I have this ring in the ear or something? And they don't tell you that's a kidney not doing great. Okay, so when your kidney is it's weaker, we call a weakness causes. So lower back pain, because it's the kidney, we call it, this is the house of the kidney. It's right here. So if you have some pains or uncomfortable or soreness, it's actually the kidney giving you trouble. You might not know that. The doctor might not be able to tell you that because you need to be doing kidney dialysis or kidney transplant to have a kidney disease or problem. So you have to be serious enough to be able to be diagnosed according to the standard of diagnosing process. Then you have a kidney disease. But in our medicine, we say when you have some weakness, then you are supposed to get some strengthening at least in order to avoid all of these symptoms. Because as I said, the rein, even hair loss, because we call the hair is a flower of the kidney. When your kidney is strong, your hair grows better. So that's a flower, it's from the kidney. And even your teeth and bones, they are also strengthened or governed by the kidney. And even our menstruation, so it's a kidney weakness. If you have bleeding or pains with the menstrual cycles and all that, even infertility, men's problems, erection problems, sexual dysfunction, and as I said, some other things like even edema. Let's say if you see somebody has a swollen ankle, that's actually a first sign or a big sign of kidney weakness, and it'll usually, if you don't get it under control, it can climb up. When the swelling starts usually from the ankle, because that's the most obvious place you can see, and then it starts to climb up all the way to your thighs. If it climb over that barrier, come to your body, then that's how people get fluid in the lungs, fluid in the liver, they call it cirrhosis, fluid in the lungs, fluid everywhere. That's actually the kidney, together with the spleen, they are not regulating the water anymore. They are not doing the right job. And that's how people get edema in the body. If they get it in the brain, as I said, it's going to flood everything. Right? So it's very important that the kidney and then the spleen, they keep regulating the fluid in our body properly, and that's how we can function normally. So when the kidney is normal and have fresh, nice, and the normal water, where do they go? What do they help? They go to feed the liver wood. The liver is the wood element in our body. So it has the properties, it has the characteristics of the wood. Wood needs to be straight, cannot be bent. That's why when the liver is in trouble, we get into depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, all of these problems. They are all related to the liver. So the liver, when you water them properly, they grow big trees. But if you overwater them, you flood them. That's how we get edema. If you water them not enough, then we get overheated. So our body, everything dry up. So we have itchy, dry skin. When you have black tongue, black everything in our body, everything dried up. It's almost like torched by the fire, by heat. So it's like California forest fire. If you don't have enough rain, you get into forest fire, it burns everything. In our body, the same thing. Especially when our kidney is not normally regulating water, so you have enough like fountain of life in your body to nourish everything, then it will be drying up. Then you get an itchy skin, dry skin, crack everything. You have when you see people have a cracked tongue, like the tongue, they have opened up. The tongue is not smooth; it's cracked. It's like an end without irrigation. That's how you see it. So when you water the wood properly, they grow big. Now you can afford to cut down the trees. And then you can use them as a firewood for the next one, which is the heart. The heart is the fire element in our body. When your heart is strong, it has to be supported by the kidney and liver. So strong kidney, strong liver supports a strong heart in the sense you have firewood for the heart. Now, when you have enough firewood for the heart will be burning normally, properly, you get a good warmth in our body. So you don't have to wear a coat when it's summer. You don't have to wear 3 layers of socks when you sleep. Because some people are like that. When they don't have the support in the body, they don't have good circulation, they have freezing cold hands and feet. And that just shows that the kidney, the liver is weak. And then the heart is not supported. So when the heart is supported, you don't have any problem. When the heart is in trouble, that's how people get coronary artery blockage, they have a heart murmur, they have heart, they need a pacemaker, they beat too fast, 120, 30 beats per minute, or they just beat 35 per minute. Any one of those are abnormal conditions. Usually higher is heat, lower is cold dampness in the body. So all of these just make the heart not function properly, and then when the heart fire is burning properly, it supplies the body, and then it burns the trees down. The trees become ashes that are falling down to the ground, and then we have this fertile land, which is our stomach. So if you have a strong kidney, strong heart, strong liver, strong heart, they support a strong stomach. You know, when somebody say, I don't have appetite, I don't eat, when I eat, it gets all bloated and all that. That is actually coming from, starting from kidney and then the liver. Liver is the one that supplies digestive enzyme, for example, bile, and all of those things that can help your stomach. If your liver is not doing a good job, then how can you digest? You can't digest any food. Your food is always staying there, and you have constipation, you have diarrhea. There's a lot of trouble that can come from so the earth element is the stomach. That is supposed to be productive. The land is supposed to produce everything, right? So that's where we get our minerals, vitamins, vitamin A, B, C, D, E. We have potassium, magnesium, zinc, copper, iron. You get all of them from your food. So if you see your blood work and oh, I'm iron deficient, I'm this and that, that is actually most probably because your stomach is not doing the right job absorbing the iron from the spinach, for example, from the calcium from whatever. So you are supposed to get everything you need in your body. So when you take the blood work of an 18-year-old teenager, they don't have any deficiency because their body is functioning normally. They are getting everything from their food. That's why they don't have to supplement anything. When we grow, that's when we start to miss this and that. Then we start to just to try to supplement everything. But if you can get your body back to normal, you might not need that many things. So when the earth is able to produce all of these vitamins, minerals, and you know when you heat them, that's where you need a strong hard fire to dissolve everything in our body. We call that bioavailable. When you eat something, you need to be able to absorb. When you absorb them, they need to be made bioavailable so you can use in your body. And that's when all these minerals, vitamins, and all these nutrients, they actually merge into your kidney water, and then the cycle starts again. That's a whole cycle of good, harmonious work inside the body synergistically. Then you keep the whole system functioning properly because the fire will dissolve like the metal. You dissolve them, they become fluid. Then they go into kidney, and then they circulate in the blood, and then finally, all of these nutrients, they go somewhere they call the thymus and the bone marrow. That's where you produce your white blood cells, red blood cells, your NK cells, the natural killer cells, T cells. All of these are needed in our body to function properly. So if you have good nutrients, you have a strong heart, strong liver, strong kidney, and a strong stomach, you will supply all of that. You have good blood flow. So when we feel cold and dizzy and all that, mentally stressed out, anxious and all of that, it's actually because something going on in the body. That's shortchange your body. So if your blood doesn't make enough, then we call that a blood deficiency. Or if you don't have enough energy to circulate the blood in the body, we call it qi deficiency. So qi deficiency, that's energy deficiency, and blood deficiency, that's how people get dizzy, how people they feel lousy and stressed out and depressed. When you are feeling lousy, I always make an analogy. When people when they fly 20 hours, especially like before, we fly 20, 25, 5 hours to come from China to Canada. When you get out of the plane, the first thing you want to do is go to bed because you are exhausted. If now you get an assignment to do a thesis on something, a paper, a big project for you to do, you would fight with that person. Just get off my back, right? That's how we feel. When our body is not doing that great, tired and exhausted, you just want to lie down on the couch You don't want any challenges, you don't have any motivation, you just feel exhausted. That's how people get depressed, anxious, and everything else. So in order to be mentally healthy and physically healthy, you need all of these things to work together. So that's how this metal, which is lungs, eventually you support the lungs, you breathe easy, you don't even feel you are breathing. Some people, they can feel their breath. Every breath, they make an effort. I was just listening to somebody telling me about, stage 4 cancer in the lungs, and they take out 2 liters of fluid every day with a dripping tube. I said, how can that person feel energy? Because the fluid is filling up to the neck. In the lungs, you only have that much room. If it's taken up all that fluid, how can you breathe? If you don't breathe, where do you get the oxygen? And we need oxygen to survive. So that's why we lose our energy. When you lose your energy, when you feel tired, there's a reason. Something going on in the body. You need to fix it. So that's how the system works, and we need to keep them going. Okay? So these are just signs of things that you can notice, but there's a lot of information there. We don't have time to go over each one by one. It's just saying that these systems, they either support each other, or they control each other, or they cut each other, destroy each other. You have to make them go in the right way. That's how each one I was talking about, the ear, the eyes, they're all connected. So usually winter is like, it's north, it's cold. Winter is the kidney. And so the bones, the ear, even fear is connected to the kidney. So if you always get nightmares and you are fearful, you don't want to hear any noise, that's actually your kidney showing weakness. So the elements of 5 elements, we always connect them. There are a whole bunch of different things that it's like a liver is anger. So when somebody gets angry, they feel stuffy in the liver. The right side, they feel it's bloated, it's stuffy. And when they get fear, they pee their pants. Right? That's kidney. Yes?
I just wanted to know, you mentioned the brain. Why isn't the brain on the map? Because you said it's essential to control it.
Yes. Eventually the brain is sitting on top of this. So the 5 elements is the foundation for the body. The 5 elements is, if you keep it healthy, it's like a rock. It's like a rocky rock. If you build a house on a rock, then you are stable. If you build your house on the sandy beach, it's going to be wobbling. It's going to collapse over time. So we are focusing on the body system to eventually support the brain. So we'll come to that. Now, the 5 elements, so they are chained together like that. Okay, now let's talk about the 6 pillars of brain health. If you want to keep your brain healthy, you can do a lot of things by yourself. So the first one, let's say exercise. Exercise is always good. If you're always lying on the couch, it's not going to help because you don't have enough blood flow, you don't have enough energy consumption, you don't feel appetite. So and the food and nutrition is always eat smart. When you eat smart, you can think clearer, better. You are what you eat. And then control medical risks. So hypertension is very big threat to the brain health because when the pressure goes up, if you go to see an eye doctor, if you have high blood pressure, you can actually see the blood vessel being twisted. So when you have high blood pressure, even for some short time, the spikes, it actually show because in the eye doctor, they can see the blood vessels very clearly in the equipment. So high blood pressure can actually twist your blood vessels in the brain, and that can cause disruption and problem. And then diabetes, also you get your blood vessels being filled up with the muddy, sugary blood, and that's when people have poor blood circulation in the brain, and then they can get blockage, cause problems. So obesity is one of the bigger problems in our society, where when you have too much fat building up in your body, the first thing you can look is your liver. You can most probably find a fatty liver in this person when they are overweight, because they have difficulty metabolizing the fat in the body. So you get a fatty liver. When the liver is fatty, then you can also get a lot of other things, including especially diabetes, because the liver is the #1 cause of diabetes. If you don't know that, now you know, because the liver, when it's fatty, it takes up all the room, all the metabolizing, because when we have sugar problem, it's because when we eat food, the food comes to our system, and then we kind of absorb them. We absorb the nutrients, and the first #1 nutrient for our body is actually glucose, sugar. So when the sugar, when they are in the blood, your blood index, like the sugar level goes up. So when the sugar level goes up, automatically the pancreas is supposed to produce insulin to rush to send those glucose sugar to the cells. And we were talking about yesterday, we were talking about the mitochondria, the energy plant, the furnace in the cell that burns the sugar with the oxygen, and then we get ATP, we get energy to run around. So the cell can only use that much at a time. So if you have excessive sugar, then the body will automatically pack them together into parcels, like we call glycogen. The glycogen is going to be stored in the liver cells. The liver cells, but if they are taken up by fat, triglycerides, then there's no more room to go. It's like a hotel fully booked. When they come, no more room. There's one small basement room down there. You can squeeze a couple guys there. But the rest of it all go back to blood. And that's when your sugar level always being high. And when your sugar level is always high, you're almost like injecting maple syrup into your blood. Every day. Eventually your blood turns from red wine to maple syrup. When that happens, imagine the heart. How the heart is pumping very, very diligently, but they are pumping mud. And it's a lot more difficult to do that. Eventually, even the blood vessels in the heart, we call them coronary arteries, when they get blocked, then they can collapse. That's how people get a heart attack. So people most often, they don't really die of diabetes. You don't hear people say, oh, died of diabetes. But they die of heart attack, which is connected to the diabetes. They die of a stroke, which is connected to the diabetes, because the sugar is piling up. It's coating all the cells, and then they get stuck. They get blockage and all of that. So that's how we actually get diabetes.
So is it a liver or is it actually a blood sugar issue?
The liver is the cause, because
the blood, if it wasn't, I'm confused.
Yeah.
So if the person wasn't eating lots of maple syrup, then the liver would be fine.
Yes,
So
in some
I'm
ways.
trying to understand
Yeah,
how
okay,
the
so the
liver
liver gets fatty because we are eating improperly. We are eating all of this junk food, and then too much grease and too much everything. So eventually that's how we get our liver stuck with all these triglycerides in the liver, and that's how you slow down our metabolism. So our liver is not functioning properly, so that's a vicious cycle. So eat not properly, then you get your fatty liver. When your fatty liver is not functioning, you pile up more fat in your body everywhere, including the liver.
So I think you answered, so your model of the 5 elements, the nutrition is the thing that supports it.
Yes.
Not the liver is the key, but what supports the liver is so I'm confusing it. So
Okay.
it's not the,
Okay, let me try to explain more so you can understand better. When the liver is saturated with body fat or triglycerides, that's how they kick out the sugar. The sugar cannot stay there, because if your liver is full capacity, it's like a big reservoir. Now, when the flood comes, that's when we eat. When we eat, it's like flood comes. Now, if you have a big reservoir to hold all the sugar there until your downstream become hungry. So when your cells are hungry, say, hey, I need sugar, Now, the liver opens up and say, how many parcels do you need? I'll send you parcels to open up and then you can use it. So that's how we keep our sugar level normal. When you're normal, you regulate the sugar. Your sugar is basically between 5 and 6.5 the whole day. You don't shoot that high. But when somebody has diabetes, their sugar actually starts to jump like a roller coaster. When you are too high, you take insulin, medication, and all that to push them down. Once they are down to the normal level, they don't stay there because they don't have the reservoir to send out parcels when they need it. They are all in the blood. So when the sugar level is normal, then it dives down immediately, very fast. So when you dive down, you need to eat immediately. Otherwise, you feel sweaty and then you start to shake. That's when people have this.
So if you have a fatty liver, you're diagnosed with that. How do you get rid of the fat in your liver?
Well, we are going to talk about that when we come to how to solve the problem. Okay, so when the liver is like that, then they mess up the system because when the liver is on strike, which means the sugar would be haunting the brain cell, the cells. Say all the sugar they crowd the cells and say we need to be burned. But the cell said I don't need that much at a time. When I'm sleeping midnight, I'm not going to open my door and burn you. So if they say we don't have anywhere to go, the only option we have to lock on your door. Then the cell called police, kick them out. So the blood sugar, they go back to try the liver and everywhere they are bounced back, everywhere. Eventually the cell gets annoyed. The cell said, get off my back. When I need you, I'll call you. So when they do that, we call this insulin resistance. If you hear about insulin resistance, it means when you have sugar, when you have insulin, but cell resist them. They don't open the door. That's what we call insulin resistance. So when the insulin resistance exists, then you have too much sugar, you have too much insulin too. And they are actually not good for the body. So in that case, the pancreas start going crazy. The pancreas says, sugar level is always high, I need to work overtime, I need to produce insulin 24 hours a day to push down the sugar. But then the pancreas try very hard to produce. Eventually what they do, they get exhausted. That's how the beta cells in the pancreas gets exhausted. They start to wither, they start to die. That's when say, oh, now we need insulin because we don't even produce insulin anymore, right? So we need to inject insulin. That's the more like a later stage of the how are we doing with time? Okay, I'll try to run faster. Okay, so basically the pancreas gets exhausted, and then the kidney jumps in, they keep peeing. That's why the diabetes people, they go to washroom a lot. The kidney is trying to do that. Eventually, everybody gets tired. We need to be insulin dependent, and finally that's causing the stroke and the heart attack and all of that, so we don't want that. Now, sleep and relaxation, we all know that. We need mental fitness for the brain, otherwise we'll kill ourselves, that's no good. And social interaction, we need to be staying in contact with the society. And to get rid of it, you need to get something that can really cleanse the liver. The liver is a fatty liver, so now we need a big bulldozer to go there and dig out the mud and throw them into valleys, so they don't cause trouble. And we open up the liver, so the liver starts to be functional, starts to take in the sugar. And so this one is the fountain of life. I talked about it in full presentation yesterday. If you did miss it yesterday, you can go out to order a copy of our video, audio presentation on it. And then we have the Sage for the brain health, that is a traditional formula that is designed to nourish all the 5 elements in one shot. It's like you're taking 5, 10, 20 different formulas in one package to take care of all the elements in the body so that they work with each other. Because when these ones they are working with each other, they normalize the body functions. Eventually, what you need in the brain is actually the blood flow. The blood flow, the oxygen, the nutrients. Because when we get older, when we get older, it's more about the brain is not getting enough nutrients, and they start to die. They start to die. That's how we get brain atrophy. Brain gets smaller and smaller, shrink. That's how we get the dementia, Alzheimer, Parkinson. What we do is, instead of giving something to treat the brain, we actually focus on enhancing the body function. To brain, we call the back door to the brain, because the brain is sitting there waiting for blood. Now, if you find the back door to the brain, instead of fighting it like shooting bullets or a machine gun, you actually send a messenger, send blood flow, send oxygen, send nutrients to the brain, and wake them up. Say, hey, here is your food. Wake up and do your job. That's how they start producing dopamine. They start to produce serotonin, so they feel happier. They don't feel as depressed and stressed out. And these are the ingredients that are food-based. They are available in food form, and the Chinese, they usually put them in a soup all year round. So they are berries, goji, mushrooms. They are all food-based to nourish the system, strengthen the system, make your body organs stronger. And that's more important than targeting just the brain or depression, schizophrenia. All of that, you actually need a stronger body. If you are feeling, I always tell people, if you are winning the Olympic medal, you're not going to feel depressed. I mean, most probably you are not, because you are on top of the world. You're feeling great. You're achieving everything. Why do you feel depressed? When people feel depressed, it's because they always have some kind of trauma, for example, to start with, either mentally or physically. They had car accidents, they feel lousy, they lost blood because of surgery, for example. Then they feel down, they feel depressed, they don't want to eat, they don't sleep, they don't... then eventually, over the longer period of time, we actually we weaken our defense system, we weaken our body, so the whole system, the 5 elements, we're all dragging down. If that's the case, how can you feel happy? If you take some pills, they most probably might not do the job. As I said, you need to strengthen them, not fighting them. Sometimes we are fighting the symptoms. We are fighting against the body. We are putting a sleeping pill make you dozy, sleepy. When painkiller make you not functioning properly. You don't feel the pain or numbness, but then you are actually fighting the symptom by itself. You're not strengthening. So these are the elements. If you never or seen some of them before, these are the vital nutrients for the 5 elements in the body. The cordyceps, if you've ever heard about them, they are from the 3,800 meters above sea level. You don't have to worry too much about how they are polluted and all that, because they have to be on a mountainous area where people cannot even reach. So you find one of them maybe 1 kilometer. It's very difficult to find them. Recommended brain food, there are lots of things that you can eat at home, like blueberries, olive oil, flaxseed. Flaxseed is actually one of the top herbal or food that you can get enough omega-3 fatty acids and antioxidants, especially lignans in there. That's the highest among all food. And then even broccoli, eggs, nuts, chickpeas, dark chocolate is actually good antioxidants. Wild salmon, avocado, turmeric, pumpkin seeds, and green tea. These are all good food for the brain. And these are already. I guess that's. I don't know whether somebody's waiting for the lecture, the next one. I'm going to close this.